I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Another former top Trump administration official is finding himself closer and closer to being held in contempt of federal court. Peter Navarro, we've been following this ordeal in federal court where the Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against Navarro because Navarro concealed various records, official records, communications on private servers. Yes, Navarro kept private servers and encrypted apps where he communicated about official business to try to hide it from the government. He tried to hide it from public records requests. Well, the Department of Justice learned about this. They filed a lawsuit against him to get all of the records back, both the emails and communications he used on his official government devices, which he refused to turn most of those over, as well as information that he kept on his personal devices and private servers and encrypted apps where he engaged in lots of communications regarding various things. Navarro was in charge of key aspects of Donald Trump's horrifically failed, whatever you want to call his response to COVID was. It feels like kind of an intentional effort to kill Americans. That's what I'll refer to it as. Also, Navarro was the leader of an effort that he called the Green Bay Sweep, where he was the one who was plotting with Donald Trump and the state legislatures controlled by MAGA Republican sympathizers to basically, one, submit fraudulent and false electoral certificates. That was also done with Donald Trump's lawyer, John Eastman. And these false electoral certificates would claim that Donald Trump won the states that President Biden won. It's a crime right there. But also part of the Green Bay Sweep was just have former Vice President Pence refuse to count the votes, just say, hey, there's a lot of confusion here. There's a lot of objections being made by Republican senators and Congress members, so I'm just going to let the states decide. That was part of the plan, and then let the state legislatures say, you know what? We are going to cast our votes for Donald Trump. And even though the people voted in favor of President Biden, we're declaring Trump the winner. That was part of their coup plot, and Peter Navarro was inextricably intertwined in that. In fact, he led that. So the communications on his private servers, on his encrypted communications apps, on his official emails are very important. The Department of Justice filed a lawsuit in federal court to seize this information, to gain it. Navarro opposed it. A federal judge, Colleen Collar-Cottley, she made a ruling saying, turn this over to the Department of Justice. She granted summary judgment in favor of the Department of Justice, and then Navarro was supposed to comply. Navarro has not complied. And so on May 19th, the federal judge issued this order I'm about to share with you, basically saying, if you don't turn over these records in the next week or so, you're going to be held in contempt. She said, I'm going to order a for-cause showing, but you're going to be, that basically means why you should not be held in contempt of this court for violating court orders. Of course, it should be noted as well that Navarro has also been indicted by a federal grand jury on 2 counts of contempt of Congress stemming from his failure to comply with a subpoena issued by the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection. So contempt, contempt, contempt. Let's take a look at this order that was just issued by the federal judge in Washington, D.C. It says, the court is in receipt of plaintiffs, that's the Department of Justice, status report and defendant, Peter Navarro's status report. On March 9th, 2023, the court entered judgment in favor of plaintiff. the Department of Justice ordering Navarro to, among other things, meet and confer with plaintiff and propose search terms and methodology to unequivocally identify presidential records in defendant's possession. The parties filed their joint proposal on April 8, 2023, which the court approved on April 12, 2023. The parties jointly agreed that defendant would conduct, that's Navarro, would conduct multiple searches on all email accounts on which he conducted official business. First, defendant would search his email for correspondence with a .gov or .mil domain, and then defendant would, quote, use these results to conduct further searches. The parties agreed that defendant would complete all searches for presidential records by May 8, 2023. The court adopted this schedule, ordering defendants to, quote, complete all searches for presidential records on or before May 8, 2023, and ordering the parties to file a joint status report by May 15, 2023, proposing a deadline for the delivery of presidential records to the United States, their rightful owner. Plaintiff represents that defendant has complied with the first step, searching correspondence for a .gov or .mil domains, but has not conducted the remaining searches mandated by the court's judgment and court order. It appears from his status report that defendant has refused to conduct those subsequent searches. To the extent that defendant contests that he must also conduct further exhaustive searches of all accounts on which he conducted official business, he misunderstands the court's prior orders. He must comply with the methodology to which he agreed in the parties' April 8, 2023 joint proposal. This includes searching for the names of anyone associated with the .gov or .mil domains and subject matters, quote, that relate to his official duties. At present time, the court does not intend on mandating additional search times. However, suffice to say, defendant has clearly not completed all searches for presidential records on or before May 8, 2023, as required by court order. The judgment clearly encompasses all communications on defendant's personal accounts related to defendant's official duties, not merely those addressed to or received from an email address ending in a .mil or .gov. The parties' joint proposal does the same. Further failure to adhere to the judgment entered in this case and the court's orders effectuating that judgment may result in a show cause order. To further effectuate the court's judgment, the court sets the following deadlines. On or before May 22, 2023, defendant shall search for and identify all presidential records generated across any and all of his personal accounts on which he transacted official business using at minimum 1. The names of officials with email addresses ending in .gov or .mil that have already been produced as presidential records to date, and 2, subject matters that relate to his official duties that have appeared in presidential records produced to date. Out of that universe, and on or before May 25, 2023, defendant shall provide all presidential records to plaintiff. Defendant shall file a certificate of compliance on or before May 26, 2023. If plaintiff considers these productions deficient, then it shall file a motion to enforce the court's judgment on or before May 31, 2023. Before concluding, the court briefly notes that contrary to defendant's declamations, plaintiff has not, in fact, requested that defendant produce personal records in defendant's possession, and defendant has no Fourth Amendment interest in property belonging to the United States. Nor does the court lack jurisdiction to enforce the judgment mandating defendant produce to plaintiff property belonging to plaintiff. And it says, see the case at issue. So ordered May 19, 2023 by federal judge Colleen Cotterly.
Let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, ZBiotics. Now, if you're like me, you've probably skipped a workout because of drinks the night before. It happens. But if you're committed to your healthy routine, you need ZBiotics. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Just remember to drink ZBiotics before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Now, I can't lie, after we hit 1 million subscribers, I may have partied a little bit too much that night. But luckily, I knew I had ZBiotics. Now, as instructed, I drank a bottle of ZBiotics before any alcohol, and I was amazed at just how good I felt the next day. Give ZBiotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas to get 15% off your first order when you use Meidas at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/Meidas and use the code Meidas at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode.
And what the judge is saying here is, even if you I'm not asking for your personal communications that you had about topics that are unrelated to what you were doing for Trump, okay? But if you used personal devices and private servers to conduct business in connection with anything you did for Trump, that doesn't belong to you. That belongs to the United States government. So search your encrypted text messages, search your private servers that you kept, search all of your private emails that you use and your government emails, and turn that over immediately, or we're going to the next step. When the judge says a for cause proceeding, she's referring to contempt. When she's talking about a judgment enforcing it, they're talking about not just they're talking about contempt and getting these records through other processes than the judge issuing a sternly worded order that I just read for you. But again, everything the MAGA Republicans, say, it's all projection. It's all a confession. They're using these private servers and private email accounts to conduct public business, and they're hiding it. And the Department of Justice has to go through these steps to go and get it back. And meanwhile, you have, all of these, lawless MAGA people out there, spreading lies and disinformation with large media networks continuing to perpetuate them. And not anymore, not here on the MeidasTouch network. We'll just read you what the orders say. We're giving you the facts. And by the way, this is why MAGA Republicans hate courts. This is why they hate law and order. They love the Jim Jordan rolling up his sleeves, kangaroo court style stuff where he goes, it's my prerogative to do whatever I want to do, because that's what takes place in fascist countries. That's not what happens in a thriving democracies. That's not the proceedings. And I'm glad we have federal judges like this federal judge who is thoughtful, is smart, and is following the law. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers here on our YouTube channel. Thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We got great memberships there. No worries if you can't. Wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast as well. I think you will enjoy our audio podcasts. Just search MeidasTouch podcast, whatever podcast device you use, and make sure you, again, check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch and hit subscribe on this YouTube channel. It's free. Have a great day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.